Hey trainers, it is Pokémon Master TC back with another edition of What If. In this series, I look at a subject or a question in the Pokemon universe, and I just pose the question, what if? So for today's video, we are discussing what if Pikachu chose to evolve into a Raichu in the Pokemon episode Electric Shock Showdown. Now, if you love theories and other Pokemon content, make sure you hit that sub button so you don't miss any of that on my channel. All right, let's get into it. What if Pikachu chose to evolve? Pokemon changed my life. It became my first addiction. The TV show, games, cards, and toys. I was enamored by it all. Becoming a Pokemon Master was all that I cared about as a kid, and so I became one. Join me, Pokemon Master TC, as I relive the most nostalgic part of my childhood and showcase my Pokemon collection, and most important of all, share my love of Pokemon with you. So to answer this question of what if Pikachu chose to evolve into Raichu during the episode of Electric Shock Showdown, it's important to take into account of what Pikachu was going through and what was on the line. So in the episode, Ash is challenging Lieutenant Surge for the Thunder Badge, and Lieutenant Surge is a powerhouse. Lots of trainers are going into his gym and getting their butts kicked. You see all these Pokemon in the Pokemon Center in critical condition. They're fainted, they got tons of wounds. And so when Pikachu goes to fight Raichu in the showdown, Pikachu is amped up. It wants to prove that it can take on its evolved form of Raichu. And Pikachu gets destroyed by Raichu. And so that ends up with Ash and Pikachu having to make the decision of whether or not to evolve. Now, in the episode, they chose not to do it. They chose not to use the Thunderstone, and they used Pikachu's quickness and agility that Lieutenant Surge's Raichu never learned. And they used that to defeat Raichu and earn the Thunder Badge. And Pikachu, in the episode, fought in the name of all Pikachu, and that was very brave of him. So, what if Pikachu chose to evolve? Well, I think there's numerous outcomes to this. So let's say Ash and Pikachu came to the decision to evolve. The first thing that comes to my mind is the personality change or potential of a personality change and Pikachu's body becoming Raichu's body, which means it's going to be bigger. And I would always be a little nervous if I was a Pokemon trainer and I was evolving a Pokemon with a evolution stone, because you see later on, you see Charmander, who really adored Ash. You see him evolve into Charmeleon, and his personality really changes. And then you see Charmeleon evolve into Charizard, and you see his personality change even more, where he doesn't respect Ash, he's very defiant, and he doesn't follow Ash's commands. Do I think that would be the case with Pikachu evolving into Raichu? No, I don't, just because Pikachu had already gone through so much with Ash. I do think that Pikachu may have gotten a little bit cocky as a Raichu because he's very powerful. Now, some of the questions that some trainers may have is, does Ash's Pikachu lose anything by becoming a Raichu? And my answer is no, I don't think it does. Lieutenant Surge's Raichu evolved too soon, and so it never learned agility or quick attack and all of the speed stats that help it battle. But you see in that episode that Pikachu already learned those abilities, and so it would carry those abilities as a Raichu, which means it'd be quick, it would be speedy, and it would be super powerful with its thunderbolts and thunder attacks. Not to say that Pikachu wasn't already powerful, but as a Raichu, it could have been unstoppable. So what does that mean in the future of the anime? Well, all of those cute scenes of Pikachu on Ash's shoulder, Pikachu on Ash's hat, and just generally riding around on Ash, I think that would actually stop. Raichu would probably be too big for Ash to have on his shoulders or on his head, and so you would see Raichu much more likely to be walking along with Ash. Does Raichu get in the Pokeball? Maybe. I haven't put too much thought into that, so I'll let you trainers let me know in the comments below. Do you think Raichu would have stayed in a Pokeball? Because Pikachu certainly didn't want anything to do with that. I think it's 50-50, just because of the potential personality change, and with that comes different preferences. So, does Ash have an easier time defeating gym leaders with a Raichu? I think the answer is yes. I think Raichu would have offered Ash a very powerful weapon or Pokemon on his roster that he can call upon. Do I think they would have lost a little bit of a connection? Yes, and let me explain. Ash is the underdog. Ash was the 4th trainer out of Pallet. He woke up late, and he always has something to prove. You know, Gary, you could essentially look at as Raichu, because Gary is stronger, he has a lot more knowledge, and he's just more experienced than Ash was. Where Ash is much more relatable to Pikachu, who was also the underdog to Raichu. And it's not unheard of a trainer to not evolve their Pokemon, but it's also a little bit uncommon. And so I think if Pikachu goes into a Raichu, you kind of lose that underdog mentality that Pikachu had. So there was maybe less of a chip on Raichu's shoulder if Pikachu decided to become one. I think Ash and Raichu become more of a battling team, battling partners, I guess, as opposed to a true friendship. And so if Pikachu evolves, I think you lose a little bit of that friendship and you gain a little bit of that battle mentality between the two. So I guess that's my overall thought on what if Pikachu had evolved into Raichu. So let's summarize this for everyone. Pikachu already gained all of the speed and quickness. You're gonna get that with the evolved form of Raichu. It's gonna be super powerful, but you lose that underdog mentality that Pikachu had. You lose maybe that closeness and that friendship that Pikachu and Ash had, and Raichu really becomes more of a battling Pokemon than a companion Pokemon that Pikachu had. Now, I think it's pretty obvious why they chose not to evolve Pikachu in the anime, because Pikachu was the mascot of Pokemon for over 25 years and probably still is. And if they evolved into Raichu, then you're looking at more of a marketing effort toward boys, where I think Pikachu can appeal to both boys and girls, where Raichu is probably more masculine just because of how powerful Raichu was in battles. And so, in the end, do I think that they made the right decision? As a marketing standpoint, yes, I do. Do I think Raichu could have probably made battles a little bit more easier for Ash? Yes, I do. So this is truly a preference. Do you want more of a companion and underdog mentality that Ash and Pikachu had? Or did you want to see Ash crush some gym leaders and just go on to potentially win the Pokemon League with Raichu? It's an interesting argument, and so I will leave that up to you trainers. What do you think? Do you think Ash and Pikachu made the right decision by not evolving? Do you think Raichu would have been the right choice? Let me know in the comments below, and why don't you suggest some other what-if scenarios that I can play around with in the Pokemon universe. While you are in the comments, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel to watch plenty of other Pokemon content that includes discussions, showcases of my collection, and of course, Pokemon of the Week, in which I discuss in depth and showcase a Pokemon from the original 150. Trainers, thank you for watching. I'm Pokemon Master TC. Good luck catching them all.